Hey everyone, it's Victoria with Nutrition by Victoria. Welcome to another video. So today I'm going to discuss my metabolic damage recovery journey, which by the way, I'm actually still on. So hopefully I can guide you so that it doesn't have to take as long as it's taken me. Let's get into, first of all,
Mommy.
yeah.
Now the last one is green, green, yellow, green, green, yellow.
Green, green.
Green, green.
Okay, so I was asked by one of my subscribers to talk more about my personal journey with metabolic damage, specifically how soon after I started recovery that I started losing weight, how much exercise I was doing during that time, how long it took to get to where I am now. So like I said, I'm still on my journey and I will discuss why very shortly here. So I started my all-in diet in March of 2012. So prior to that, I was very stuck in the orthorexic raw foods, fasting, calorie restriction. I thought that's what you had to do in order to be healthy and slim, and I found out the hard way that that is not how you do it. And I hit a wall with my health, and it felt like my whole life at that point was starting to fall apart. And I found some of Freely's videos from her journey early on in 2009 and was very inspired and said, hell with it, I'm just going to start eating more fruit. And ironically, at the time, I really didn't have an appetite until I started eating more food. And then, you know, things started rolling in the right direction again. Having an appetite means that you have a healthy metabolism. Okay. So I started my all-in journey in March 2012, and I stuck to a raw diet at that time. If you want a banana, I'll get one for you. And I was eating a lot of bananas. I was eating a lot of fruit. And I actually think this aspect of my all-in approach actually hindered my progress because I was having a lot of digestive issues handling large amounts of fruit coming from a background of restriction and depletion. My gut just was not working, and prior to that I had clinically diagnosed gastrointestinal issues, including IBS and gastroparesis. So going into this, just eating fruit and some vegetables was probably not the best idea, and knowing what I know now, I would never suggest that for someone else. But I was trying to do what Freely suggested, and I was pretty dedicated. In fact, I was so dedicated that I think it hindered my progress because I was very apprehensive to eating any cooked food. So I remember the last time I had stepped on the scale, I started off being like 125 pounds, and I'm 5'11 and a half. And within 3 months, I had gained up to 155 pounds. So I'd gained 30 pounds in 3 months. After that, I really didn't get back on the scale. I think I remember the next year in 2013, probably around a year point, we were living in Texas. I think we had moved to Texas by that time. I know I was in Texas in 2013, and I think I may have gotten on a scale and it said 180 pounds. So I continued to gain that entire first year. I gained 60 pounds, plus or minus some. Say hello.
Hello.
Okay, so I definitely peaked in 2013, and then in 2013, I believe we moved to Arizona as well.
I want Nana.
And I got little monkeys here. I think it was in 2013 where I decided I was sick of carrying all the weight and I was going to decrease the amount of food that I was eating. And I did lose weight from that, but it was not sustainable. So I've never, during my journey that started in 2012, been able to do what I was doing previously, being basically not eating and just fasting all the time. I've never been able to do that since, but I have yo-yoed pretty much the entire time, where I would reach a certain amount of weight and I wouldn't be happy with the way that I looked. So I was still healing up here, I had some body dysmorphia that I've just really recently been able to let go of completely. And it all had to do with whether or not I was eating cooked food, actually. So when I would add cooked food to my diet, and I was eating unlimited amounts, so what I'm doing now basically, and being raw till 4, where I'm eating unlimited fruit and I'm eating unlimited starch, I would gain weight from that. And so I would dabble with raw food eating only. I also remember doing during this time, and this is a time from 2012 to 2014, I experimented with the starch solution, the maximum weight loss starch solution plan, which is very low calorie and it's starch focused. And whenever I did that, I'd lose some weight, but then I wouldn't be able to sustain it, and then I'd gain the weight back. So from 2012 in March to 2015 in February, so 3 years here, I pretty much yo-yoed with my weight, and I don't think I think I got some metabolic healing progress from that, because I was eating, and I was eating regularly versus what I was doing previously to that. So I know what happened in February 2015 because that's when I conceived my first child. Okay, and prior to that, I was exercising the house down, and I'm pretty sure I was eating raw. I was back to that whole thing. So I was 155 pounds in 2015. So in 3 years' time, my weight did come down despite yo-yo dieting. But it wasn't to the point where it is now, where I eat an unlimited amount of food, whatever I want that's high carb, low fat, plant-based vegan. I don't feel restricted at all. I'm eating as much as I want all the time, and my weight is not going up anymore. So I've finally reached that plateau, and I'm at a lower body weight set point than I was initially. Because right now I weigh about 150 pounds, 68 kilograms, where I'm at currently. So I've finally dropped to a place where my body is happy and my metabolism is really high. And from here, it's likely that I will continue to lose excess body fat over the next few years, because I finally healed completely. And it took 8 years. It took me personally 8 years. Okay, so when I got pregnant with my daughter, it became very evident actually during my pregnancy that I hadn't recovered completely from my metabolic damage. Again, because I was yo-yo dieting, not to the extremes that I was prior to going all in, but I had not committed fully to this practice of all in eating as much fruit, sugar, starch as I wanted. And it wasn't, I was following Freely and Harley a lot at that time, and doing my own research as well, and doing my own experiments. So part of the yo-yo dieting wasn't completely based on how I felt about myself, even though that was a main motivator for it, just to be honest. But it had to do with my knowledge at the time too, and what was being talked about. And I also wanted to experiment, because a lot of people are afraid to do the all-in fruit, sugar, starch approach because people think that sugar gives them diabetes, or fruit will cause too much fruit will give you liver damage, or there's a lot of myths out there. And I basically I'm a scientist. I had to figure it out for myself. Okay, so when I got pregnant in February 2015, I gained 10 pounds in my first trimester pretty quickly because I could no longer eat just raw foods. I had to eat some starch. So I put weight back on from that. And starch won't do this to you if you have an intact metabolism, or sugar or fruit. Okay, and then by the end of my pregnancy, when I had my gestational diabetes test, I actually failed the first round, and I remember I had eaten pizza the night before and it contained oil in it. I also had another meal that contained oil in it, and my insulin was not to the point where it is now, where I don't have as much insulin resistance that you do get from under eating.